The interview with Tucker Carlson, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, started with a deep insight into the old history of Russia, where he mentions Prince Rurik, who came to Novgorod and founded Russia, the monument to Millennium of Russia in Novgorod Kremlin, Princess Olga and her grandson Prince Vladimir the Baptist, who baptized Russia from paganism into Orthodox Christianity. In this video, I will show you what Putin told in that part of the interview. My name is Sergey Baklikov. This is Baklikov Live. So I now came to Novgorod myself. These days it is called Veliki Novgorod, Novgorod the Great. Don't mess it up with Nizhny Novgorod, which is located in the central Russia, 400 kilometers from Moscow. No, this is another Novgorod, original Novgorod, the city which was founded on the banks of Volkhov River, on the territory of contemporary northwestern Russia. It is located in 200 kilometers southeast from St. Petersburg and about 500 kilometers northwest from Moscow. So it's equally in between of St. Petersburg and Moscow. Closer to St. Petersburg, more distant to Moscow. Novgorod founded in 859, and that's where in 862 here by invitation came Prince Rurik and founded the state of Russia. He came here by the invitation of Slavic and the Finno-Ugric tribes that lived here on this territory back in 9th century, such as tribes as Slovenia, Krivichi, Merya, and possibly Vis. They told to Rurik that we have everything here, in abundance of everything, but we just can't get along together. We need a neutral, unbiased person who will be able to manage our matters and to be completely fair. So they addressed to Rurik and his brothers, Truvor and Sineus. They were the Varangians, the Scandinavian people, those ones who lived on the banks of Scandinavia. In fact, the neighbors. And they came here. They came here through the Baltic Sea, got to Neva River. Neva River led them to Lake Ladoga. And from Lake Ladoga, they got here to Volkhov River. Check out the map. That's how Prince Rurik came, settled down here in Veliki Novgorod. Meanwhile, there begins the Novgorod run. Yes, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and there began the Veliki Novgorod marathon. Rurik came here and founded the state of Russia. Veliki Novgorod Kremlin. He founded Russia and turned to be the beginner of a dynasty of rulers of Russia, the dynasty of Ruriks, which has lasted non-stop for 700 years until it was replaced with the dynasty of Romanovs, which has then existed for another 300 years, right until the day when Tsar Nicholas II and all of his family was killed in Yekaterinburg. I'm now gonna enter Novgorod Kremlin. Yes, Kremlin is not only in Moscow. In fact, here in Russia, 12 of full-scale preserved Kremlins. I was taking you to many of them. Kazan Kremlin, Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin, Pskov Kremlin, Astrakhan Kremlin. Now in Novgorod here, living 223,000 residents. There were the days when it was the capital of old Russia. Now it's a quiet, nice, provincial city. We are inside of Novgorod Kremlin, and I'm going to another thing which is Vladimir Putin mentions in the interview to Tucker Carlson. I'm talking about the monument to Millennium of Russia, and that is a very interesting monument that was set up here exactly 1,000 years after the foundation of Russia in 1862. The sculptor Mikhail Shemyakin won the competition. The competitions of the projects, because his project truly turned to be the best. Here it is. But before I will walk around this monument to Millennium of Russia, let me also get your attention to Saint Sophia Cathedral. In fact, this is the oldest Orthodox Christian church in Russia, founded by the order of Yaroslav the Wise. Prince Yaroslav the Wise. They started the construction in 1045 and finished for 5 years in 1050. And this is a Philharmonic hall named after Sergei Rachmaninoff, because one of the greatest Russian composers ever, Sergei Rachmaninoff, even though was not born in Novgorod, but he was born in Novgorod region, so not far from here. And now let's return to the monument to Millennium of Russia. It is really very interesting. Look at its construction. In the lower parts, it looks like a lower parts of the bell, because when Rurik came to Novgorod, he came by the invitation, and here he was more like a manager, but the real authority was in the hands of the people. In order to fix the questions, like discuss the questions, they were ringing the bell, literally were ringing the bell, and all the people were coming to the central square, and we are discussing all the questions. And Rurik was the one who was making sure everything goes fair. On the middle parts, there's the sphere, or should I say the ball, which is symbolize the monarchy. The thing is, when Rurik came to Novgorod by the invitation, his associates, his squads, Askolt Idir, they decided to go to the south of Novgorod, and they came to the territory of nowadays Kiev, and they started to rule there. Meanwhile, Rurik got a son, Prince Igor. When Rurik died, Prince Igor got the authority, but he was too small, and in fact, the authority was in the hands of the relative of Rurik, Oleg the Wise. He got an authority of Russia on the rights of regent of a young Prince Igor while he is young. And one of the things that he did, he came to Kiev and he kicked off Ascult and Dir from there, because he said that you are not authorized to be in a power there, because you are not the inherents of Rurik. That's who is a legal ruler, Prince Igor. And that is how, almost from the very beginning, Russia started to be developed in two centers. One center, the main center here in Novgorod, known as the father of Russian cities, and in Kiev. But while in Novgorod, you see everything was developed, in a kind of democratic way, like it was the republic. In Kiev, there was more autocratic monarchy way of power. And on the upper part there's a cross, Christian cross, which is symbolized that Russia turns into the Christianity almost in the very beginning of its way in 988. And here, all around, the monuments, the figures of 128 most significant persons for all the history of Russia. This is Rurik, the man with the cross, Prince Vladimir the Baptist. Here you can find the figures of Peter the Great, Catherine II, Yaroslav the Wise, the most significant saints of Russia. The poet Alexander Pushkin, the scientist Mikhail Lomonosov, Minin and Požarsky, Prince Alexander Nevsky, yeah, such an interesting monument, which tells a lot about the first 1,000 years of the history of Russia. Wow. The oldest Orthodox Christian church in Russia, Saint Sophia Cathedral in Novgorod. As I said, it was built in 1045, 1050. Kremlin means fortress, but while every Kremlin is a fortress, not every fortress is a Kremlin. Kremlins are having such a typical ancient old Russian architecture. In fact, Kremlins were the towns because the towns were inside of the Kremlins. Most of old Russian towns, at least significant Russian towns, were founded on the banks of the rivers and preferably on a high hills. It was very practical because back in those days, the waterways, the rivers, the seas were the main transportation arteries and all the trades and all the main transportation went through the rivers, through the seas. At the same time, back in those days, it was pretty important to be able to resist the invasions. And look, really, try to climb at first on this hill and then on that tall wall, while there is such a little windows from where, being relatively safe, the archers, while striking you. Come on, try this. Not going to be easy. We saw the Philharmonic Hall on the territory of Kremlin, named after Sergei Rachmaninoff. And here in the park around the Novgorod Kremlin, the monument to Sergei Rachmaninoff, one of the greatest Russian composers ever. If you still don't know Sergei Rachmaninoff, then I recommend you to begin learning his music with Piano Concerto No. 2, at least Piano Concerto No. 2. Hear all the time sounds his music through the speakers. His most significant classical masterpieces. And now I'm going to drive 200 kilometers west of Veliki Novgorod to Pskov, another ancient Russian town, in order to continue my story, my main story. The story about Olga and her grandson Vladimir the Baptist. Come on. The renovation of the whole church ensemble. One of the most ancient churches in Russia. Before we'll get to the highway, also want to hop onto the monument of the great Prince of Novgorod, Alexander Nevsky. That's where he is, next to the railway terminal. The great Prince of Novgorod, Alexander Nevsky, the Saint Prince Alexander Nevsky, one of the most significant historic figures of the Russian histories. He is the savior of Russia. At least 3 times he was saving Russia. 2 of those episodes, the battle on Neva River with Swedes and the ice battle on Chudskoye Lake with Livonian Order. He was getting stronger, and he was saying that stronger is the one on whose side is the truth. If truth is on your side, you are stronger. And same as now, back in those days, 800 years ago, when Alexander Nevsky lived, born in 1221, there were many talks that Russia is about to be done. But Alexander Nevsky was always saying that Russia is still standing and will stay in the 1,000 years after. And everybody's welcome to Russia. You are welcome if you will come with peace. But if you will come to us with a sword, you will fall off that sword. I have a pretty limited time today, but I think I need to find a couple minutes for a quick wash of my really dirty car today. Naturally, I'm gonna wash it, but let's call it more like sprinkling. I'm gonna wash it in one of these self-car wash cabins. This is my car, Moskvich 3. In fact, a Chinese jack car, which is assembled by the official license in Moscow on Moskvich factory. It's one of the responses to the sanctions on cars, one of the replacements of those Western brands which left Russia. Just a basic sprinkling. Just for 200 rubles, which is about $2. I've made a quick wash without any foam, chemicals, just a sprinkling with the hot water, which is more than enough for now, because I need to run. 2011 kilometers, 3 hours and 5 minutes, non-stop, all the way to Pskov. The snow begun. Komarino. Welcome to Pskov. Founded in 903. 903. Imagine this is exactly 800 years before the foundation of St. Petersburg. Gosh. The economy of Russia works. The Trinity Cathedral on the territory of Pskov Kremlin. That was initially founded by Princess Olga. And this is Olga Bridge. Why I never deep washed my car today. Only 211 kilometers at this time of the year, and you see it's dirty again. And now I came to the most significant place in Pskov. Same as Novgorod Kremlin and most of other Russian Kremlins, Pskov Kremlin was also founded on the bank of the river. Even rivers, Velika River, which is now frozen, and there is Pskova River. Pskov Kremlin. The foundation started in 11th century around Trinity Cathedral, and the place for Trinity Cathedral determines Princess Olga, who lives in Pskov region. He was staying here when she saw the vision, how 3 rays of light were getting in one point there, on the other bank of Velika River, what by the way means the Great River. And that's where she gave an order for the construction of Trinity Cathedral. This is already the 4th version of Trinity Cathedral. 4 times it was reconstructed. The very first one was made of woods and never got to our days. The embankments along the Kremlin, and here is the famous caption: Россия начинается здесь. Russia begins here. Velika River is now frozen, and look, here the guys are riding the dogs. Come on. They are on the skis, and the dogs are pulling them. Knyginya Olga, the Princess Olga, she was the wife of Prince Igor, the son of Rurik. That's where they met. They met not far from Pskov. She lives in Pskov region in a village 15 kilometers from Pskov. And this is Olga Chapel in memory of that moment when she was staying here and saw the vision. Now this bridge also called Olga Bridge. Igor and Olga got the son, Svetoslav Igorevich. Then Prince Igor was killed by the people from Drevlyans, the early East Slavic tribe. And that's when and how, on the rights of the regents of a young Prince Svetoslav Igorevich, Princess Olga started to rule Russia. And she ruled old Russia for 15 years, from 945 to 960. And in 955 or 957, there's different information about it, she was baptized into Orthodox Christianity in Constantinople. She wanted to bring the Christianity to Russia instead of paganism because she wanted to get a deeper connection with Europe, and their paganism probably already was considered as outdated. So she's got baptized into Christianity, but her son Svetoslav was completely against that. So not only the people met that with the resistance, but the main thing, her son Prince Svetoslav. And that's why the mass Christianity in Russia back then delayed for 30 years. When to the authority came Prince Vladimir the Baptist, already the son of Svetoslav and the grandson of Olga. The construction of Pskov Kremlin started in 11th century and continued until 15th, 16th century. The unique thing about it was that it was consisted of 5 circles of the walls inside. It was in fact the most protected Kremlin in old Russia. It's like, imagine if you would want to attack it, you would need to go through 5 circles of the walls. Got inside. Here you may photograph and film, but just with no flashlight. Making the donation. Cool. Now, the final thing that I want to show you in the historic city center of Pskov, the monument to Princess Olga and her grandson, Prince Vladimir the Baptist, who started the baptism of Russia in 888. This is an artistic depiction of Olga and Vladimir. This monument is located on the territory of Children's Park And of course, they are faced onto the Trinity Cathedral in Kremlin. God bless Russia.